Welcome back to Now, No Opportunity Wasted. I'm your host, Angelica Ross, and it's the first of the month. Get up, get up, get up, and rent is due. Get up. Damn, what you gonna do? Get up, cause rent is due. Yes, listen. They gonna get it when I got it. Like Mariah Carey said, I'll do the best I can with what I got when I got. And to be straight up, that is also what Nichiren Buddhism and chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is all about. Doing the best you can with what you got right where you are, as we say, from this moment forward. So, to get things started, as always, we're going to dive into things with a quote from Buddhism Day by Day. Wisdom for a Modern Life by Daisaku Ikeda, one of my mentors, for September 1st. The quote reads, "We must establish the correct standard of value upon the foundation of dignity of life. Leaders of society, including politicians and school teachers, should teach children the distinction between good and evil and lead society in the direction of goodness. Today, however, the higher status the people achieve, the more wrongdoing they tend to commit. Those in high status think only of their selfish interests while exploiting ordinary people. The me first attitude prevails. Looking at those adults, children cannot possibly grow upright. Such social trends, in a sense, are destroying our children. Adults must first reflect on their own way of life. Without self-reflection, adults are not qualified to scold children." End quote. Oh, woo! Baby, that is a quote for your nerves. That is a quote for your nerves. Hey, Carlisha girl, hey. That is a quote because, listen, but my goodness, that is a quote basically just saying that we're in a time right now where, look, here's the thing, and this is what I want to point out, and we can talk more about this a little bit later. I got some folks who are going to be tapping on the mic with me a little bit later. But listen, everybody that has a platform out there has the right to do whatever they want to do with their platform and to use their platform however they choose to use it. However, leaders, if you consider yourself a leader, then I want you to consider what this is saying, that leaders of society, including politicians and school teachers, need to be teaching children, and not just children, but, other people, the distinction, the difference between good and evil. We can't be blurring the lines. That's why I be thinking about things like Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements. And one of those agreements is being impeccable with your word. And that's not just about being perfect about what you say. It's just being very intentional about the words that you're choosing, about the audience that you're speaking to, so that you don't unintentionally offend folks. That's what leaders in society do. But everybody that has a platform is not necessarily a leader, is not necessarily trying to put on a cape, run for office, do things to save folks. So we can't expect perfection from folks who may be even more in entertainment, may be doing things with the entertainment spin and want to have, I guess, that creative license to do so. By all means, you know what I'm saying? Like, I support everybody doing the best they can with what they got. You understand what I'm saying? But if you call yourself a leader, though, I need you to help us with this distinguishing between what's right and wrong, what's good and evil. And it just seems like like they said, the more status that people get, the more wrongdoings they commit. And when people are in high status, they only seem to think about their own self-interest and exploiting other people. How many people are on social media right now just trying to sell you stuff? Look, I get it. We all got bills to pay. But you can't think that you the only one that's got something to protect and bills to pay. We all do. So I rather support the sis that's doing a makeup tutorial while she's talking about free Palestine, or while she's talking about trans rights. Shout out to Ruth Leah. I think that's her Instagram on there. Such a fierce trans ally. I love her makeup content. She tells things like it is. I've others also seen someone do like a get ready with me, which I loved it. They were like, get ready with me while I, talk about something genocide or something. And then they were like, for moisturizer, I'm using moisturizer. And then they get into the details of what they, are doing. I know I followed them on Instagram too, and I'm sure I'll be able to pull up their Instagram thing as well. Carlicia says leaders today only seem to lead based on who's cutting the check. When you follow the money, you understand their sense of direction and leadership. Here, Carlicia. That is on point right there. And that is the thing. That is the thing. Like, so we've got to understand, and that's why typically the internet and FCC rules and all of that want folks to be able to disclose when they are getting paid for something, so that we can kind of put a lens on that leadership. Because some of y'all are calling yourself influencers and leaders, and you're only influenced by whoever's paying the check. That's who is really influencing you. AIPAC is really influencing a lot of y'all. Dark money and all the things. So we're going to talk about all of those things a little bit later. I've got Imani B. Her handle on all of the things is, I think she is Imani B is going to be joining me a little bit later. So hopefully I got a couple other folks, if they are, back in front of their computers in enough time, that are going to also chime in. And definitely going to share some takes that I've seen on the internet. I only, chimed in for a second, but I've seen some takes going back and forth, especially with this whole Wired article. And to be honest, listen, I've been working on a lot of things and doing a lot of things really, really fast. So that's why I'm not going to get too deep into it, because here's the situation. I will admit that I have not read this Wire article. But what I know is you definitely got to slow your roll when white women are basically calling people out or doing certain things, because I think that, when people aren't careful, that's when we show that if you're truly trying to be in community across intersections. Because if you are, then instead of calling people out, it is more of a call in. And I do understand that, as a journalist, I hear that she did reach out to various people for comment for this article. Maybe people declined to comment, all these different things. But, I hear the article was messy, not on the above all. It wasn't like really put together well, with all the facts. But I think that some people still were able to say, but still, there's a there. While other folks were trying to be like, using all kind of acrobatics to weasel out of the situation. When so many of us, as Imani also says, the North remembers. We remember what our experience was like as y'all were getting paid to not only be pro-Democrat, but also pretty much be their attack dogs for some of them specifically, which I will call out a little bit later. We'll have a lovely discussion about the whole dark money in politics, because it's got the girls fighting on the internet streets. And like I said, I pretty much stayed out of it and reshared some really great takes from some brilliant people that I follow, which, again, I will share after my conversation with Dr. Jeffrey Birnbaum, who is a dedicated healthcare provider who has been at the forefront of transgender care for over 2 decades. We dive into the origins of his commitment to serving the trans community, tracing back to the early days as an HIV doctor during the peak of the AIDS epidemic. Dr. Birnbaum recounts a pivotal moment when a young trans woman asked for hormone treatment, and that led to a flood of patients seeking safe and affirming care. And over the years with his organization HEAT, he has built a comprehensive system of care that includes many young transgender individuals and adults, helping them navigate their identities in a supportive environment. We also discussed the current political climate and the alarming rise of legislation that's targeting transgender youth and adults in our access to healthcare. Dr. Birnbaum emphasized the, excuse me 1 second. I need some water. Excuse me 1 second. We live. Oh, girl. Oh, I needed that. Girl was thirsty. Okay. Woo. And actually, as I'm doing that, let me cuz your girl forgot to not forgot, like I totally, did what needed to be done, I did what needed to be done. But what I need to do still is to put the interview, I need to queue it up. I need to queue it up. So it's already uploaded and unlisted onto my channel. So you will be able to watch just the interview by itself. But let me download. Come on, girl. There we go. I want to download the video. Okay, there we go. And as that's downloading, I'll finish my little intro. I'm going to add it to the situation. So let me go to my interview playlist. Hopefully it don't mess me up. Okay, I don't think it's going to mess me up. Please don't mess me up. Okay, so it's not going to mess me up. So we're just going to do it 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and we're going to do it right back to back. So here we go. And so, when I edit it, I'm just going to edit out that space that we just had there. So here we go. Over the years, with his organization HEAT, Dr. Birnbaum has built a comprehensive system of care that now includes many young transgender individuals, helping them navigate their identities in a supportive environment. We also discussed the current political climate and the alarming rise of legislation that's targeting transgender youth and their access to healthcare. The doctor emphasized the difference between a presidential order and actual laws, and clarifying that defying a presidential order does not mean you're breaking the law. This distinction is crucial for healthcare providers who might feel pressured to comply with very harmful directives. So, take a listen to my conversation with Dr. Jeffrey Birnbaum. First of all, I wanted to say thank you because my producer slash friend, Daniela, who has helped me put this whole prize special together, told me that you were her doctor
for a long time.
For a long time to help her get access to healthcare, gender affirming care. What, first of all, I just want to ask you because you've been doing this for over a decade?
Over two.
Over 2 decades.
Transgender care over 2 decades.
So, my question to you is people have been struggling just in the past few years with this. And I'm a girl of a certain age. I'm 44. I've been around a ways, and I've seen people struggling for so long with trans people. How did you get into the position to want to serve this community 20 years ahead of the curve?
I started in this field as an HIV doctor over 30 years ago, peak of the AIDS epidemic. And years back, I had a young transgender woman come in for HIV treatment and said, "Can I get my hormones through you?" There were no guidelines back then. It was just a bunch of hearsay through different doctors. We call anecdotal evidence, guidelines, just expert opinion. So I scratched my head and I said, "I'll figure it out." And I said yes to her. I started giving her estradiol. Soon enough, she says, "Can my friend come?" I said, is your friend HIV positive? Remember, I'm an HIV doctor. She said, no, she's not. But if I can get my hormones from you and she can't, she'll figure out that I'm HIV positive. Please, can you give her hormones? I said, okay. Since then, the floodgates just opened.
Wow, I bet.
And so, initially it was a lot of young transgender women coming, a lot of young women who did sex work, um, getting silicone injections, all sorts of stuff that was really unsafe. And I said, you know what? You girls gotta get things done safely. And so I've just built up a system of care over the past 20 plus years. And I take care of a lot of young transgender guys as well right now. And people are engaging in less unsafe activity now because a lot of these things are paid for, at least in New York, by insurance.
But that's kind of under threat now, no?
Yes.
Under this administration. I mean,
Yes.
I've seen so many bills coming up that have been attacking trans youth, their access to healthcare, and even moving to adults and trying to prevent us not only from accessing healthcare, but criminalizing that. That's the bill side of it. We've seen so many of these bills both posed and passed. But what does a bill look like in real time for your trans patients and for you as a provider?
In real time, it takes a while for things to kick in, but the immediate fear and panic that people have is something different. That starts now. Um, this started a couple of months ago with the, I'll call it the presidential disorder against providing trans care to youth. And for the longest time, I had to educate myself. I need to keep up to date with medical advancements, but to follow the law, and what's the difference between presidential order and the law? Turns out the presidential order is not the law. You could disobey Donald
Okay,
Trump.
so hold on. We want to make this very crystal clear, okay? Because we're talking in a place where people are complying right away. Because, like you said, they don't know the difference maybe between a law and an order. I just want you to reiterate for the people listening out there, for those other doctors out there that may not have gotten there yet to understand what they can and cannot do. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, a presidential order is not the law. If you defy a presidential order, you are not breaking the law. So Donald Trump can say all he wants. You cannot treat transgender youth. You cannot give puberty blocking treatments, etc., for people below the age of 19. Where he came up with that age, I don't know. You're not breaking the law if you're defying his order. I was somewhat naive at first, thinking, well, I'm going to break his order and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And he could throw me in jail if he wants to. I got quoted in the New York Times saying that. But there is no going to jail if you're not breaking the law.
Right.
Now, if you take a look at what Congress is doing with its big, bad, beautiful
Bill.
budget nonsense that they're trying to pass, they are trying to make this law. And that's a little bit more scary. So, not that I would ever side with Elon Musk, but anything he can do to tank that budget bill from
I
going
want them to
through.
continue fighting. I need them to fight until I need Elon to release all the real information that he helped Trump steal the election. We need to hear all this stuff because honestly, this has been the longest nightmare for most of us. And, and speaking of which, as someone in the medical profession, because I've seen a lot of nurses and everybody that, regardless of where you stand on the issues, I know you as a medical professional, someone who took the, sort of vow to do no harm and to sort of help with life and maintaining life. How are you dealing with and how are you seeing your colleagues deal with trying to provide service and support in a space that doesn't see the humanity all the time in the people that that we want to serve?
One thing that I'll give my institution a lot of praise for is they have given me backing to as long as I don't say their name too frequently in certain settings, and that I express that these are my views, they're allowing me, they're being very permissive and very supportive of allowing me to continue providing transgender care, literally supporting me to do it when I've lost other funding from other spaces. So my institution, unlike other institutions in New York City, that immediately jumped on the bandwagon and stopped providing care to transgender youth, they've backed me fully. So I really appreciate that. And the number of kudos that I get from other medical professionals for taking a principled stand. I don't think of myself as a hero, but people like keep coming up saying that's an amazing thing that you did. The guy is a bully. All I'm doing is sticking up for the little people whose job it is for me to take care of. And you would think that it doesn't take much of role modeling for people to do that, but people are afraid for their jobs. Everybody's afraid to stick their neck out. This guy is a bully, and people need to stand up to him. And when you see bullshit coming, you need to stand up to it.
I think that we all deserve, the space to have our faith, to be able to live and pursue, life, and to live a healthy life. How do you still make sure that you're champion for all people, regardless of their background, or do you?
Well, for the folks that I'm championing right now, the young transgender people, they're like my own kids. And seeing their humanity, how they are as people. They're people first and foremost. They're not things, they're not objects, they're not labels. They're young people, and I have to say, some of them are real pains in the butt, but I love all of them. Some of them I love more than others because they're my favorites. Your producer being one of them. And so remaining centered on that gives me a lot of strength. The feedback that I get is just, it allows me to get up in the morning and keep going, because right now it's not necessarily the funding that's keeping me going. The funding has been hurting in a big way. And the fact that people respect what I do and see value in it, and seeing that somebody is willing to take a principled stand and be a champion for the little people of the world, it really gives me a lot of juice to keep going every day. Otherwise I'd be full of despair and despondency, as so many people are in this country right now.
So let me ask you, how do you feel that you talked about the difference between a presidential order and, the laws changing? And I am praying that these laws don't get passed and that they don't change things. But if it becomes illegal for you to do your work, what do you think? What do you think your response might be?
I've already been involved with organizations like ACLU, the Gay and Lesbian Medical Association, Lambda Legal Defense. I participated in a case that ended up with an injunction getting put in place nationally, stopping the transgender ban on treating youth. What goes on in individual states is one thing, but in New York, that federal ban cannot be put in place. And the Attorney General Letitia James said she will go after medical providers and facilities that respect that ban. So having a heavy hitter like Letitia James backing you up, and I've called her office, the Civil Rights Division in the Attorney General's office, saying, listen, if they're coming after me, are you guys my attorney? Well, I happen to work in a state institution. I'm a state employee, and I am sticking very strongly with what Letitia James has said. And I really appreciate the fact that she's taken such a principled stand at the Attorney General level.
That's the girl.
That if somebody wants to come after me, I'll at least have a heavy hitter like her, and probably bunch of other attorneys general from other states in league with her, working together to fight this law and hopefully get it turned over in the Supreme Court. I'll also say that the U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has put out a call for whistleblowers to call out people.
I saw that, yeah.
Call out and come after people like me, which that's what prompted me to call Letitia James's office and say, are you guys going to be my lawyers? And I got an emphatic yes. So I feel a lot of confidence to keep going. And if they're going to come after me, I'm prepared to deal with that. I mean, if then I'll really feel like a role model for other folks to take a principled stand.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that in advance. Now, HEAT, right? Is
HEAT, Health and Education Alternatives for Teens.
Wow. Is this a organization or a program you came up with?
I was there at its founding in 1992. We started as an adolescent HIV clinic. We were treating young people with AIDS back then. We've since taken on a much broader vision and mission. We work a lot with the house ball community. We've had our transgender clinic in place for over 20 years already, and we really try to provide a safe space for young people to come in, get the type of care that they need, be the type of people that they are and are to become. We do a lot of youth development when we can and have money. Give young people jobs.
Well, you just said, you use the word try, and you use the words when we can and
when
things
we
like
have
that.
money.
So
it takes a lot of work.
Okay, and with the attacks and everything that's happening, so how can people who are listening right now, people who are watching right now, how can they support the work you're doing right now when so much support has fallen out?
Well, if anybody's got a lot of money, www.heatprogram.org. We have a donate button there. That's one way of doing it. Other ways, if people are interested in working in this field, and we unfortunately have lots of turnover because there's so much turmoil in trying to get the job done. People have an interest, they can send a resume in, and we see what we can do in terms of plugging people in. It doesn't hurt to network. Even when there's not a job currently available, a job may become available in the near future.
Well, again, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank you so much for helping my friend Daniela find her way.
She's wonderful.
She is amazing. Like, put this whole production together. Amazing. So before we go, I just want you to leave with a message to others in your professional industry right now, just giving some advice about how to show up for everyone, but specifically for the trans community.
Try and learn something. Try and learn something about transgender people. I think part of the problem out there in our society is that people don't know a transgender individual. Lots of people know gay people, but they don't know a transgender person. And as a result, the agenda and the discussion is being defined by Donald Trump and the MAGA universe as to what this means. And people just don't know because they don't have reference points in their life. So one thing that I would recommend to everybody is get a little bit educated. I'm not trying to be pejorative about people being ignorant, but most people just don't have a reference point in their lives. Even if it's watching a television show of some sort that's educational, not exploitational.
Yes.
Watching a show like Pose, a great show.
Thank you.
And just learn about real people with real lives. There are other shows as well. Go and attend a lecture somewhere. At SUNY Downstate, where I work, we're teaching medical students how to be advocates for the trans community and how to people want to get involved.
This is not necessarily stuff that they're teaching in medical school.
They've started to.
They started to.
At SUNY Downstate, they do, and I give them a lot of credit for advances they've made in the curriculum, because students want to learn. Students want to learn about this. But to the larger public, I guess I brought that up because the larger public needs to be educated about what it means for a person to be transgender. Mm-hmm. You know, the simple statement like, this isn't a choice people make, it's who they are.
But they see it as a choice.
They see it as a lifestyle choice, and people need to know that's not as so many of my patients say, you know, why would I choose this? I've been I've been chased down the street. I've been beaten. I've been called names. I've been made to feel belittled. Why would I choose this? It's not something I choose. It's who I am. People need to understand that, to see the humanity in individuals.
And and I try to tell people the only choice that is there is actually choosing to be who you are, because the reality is we have some people, because of fear, because of many other things, who choose not to express themselves authentically. So, it is such a bold, radical thing to choose yourself and to choose to be yourself. So thank you so much for helping so many trans people become who they were supposed to be. Also, I think one of the things that is getting in the way of people supporting trans people, not just that they think it's a lifestyle or it's a choice, but they think that, they aced biology class. They know more than doctors about everything. And they're saying, hey, it's only two sexes, male and female. What do you say to folks who have that mindset?
And in a way, you have to meet people where they are to begin with. But then I meet young transgender people where they are, and they say, I know I was born with this set of genitals, but that's not who I am. And when you talk to individuals like this from the get-go, you get to develop a sixth sense. Like as soon as they walk in the door, she's transgender. She's not a boy. As soon as I hear it, sometimes I'm believing it before they can say it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to be said about biology and chromosomes, but you can't deny how people define themselves and your own impression of them when you're talking to them as human beings, and how they feel trapped inside this body and so on. You have to acknowledge it and take it from there, and make sure that there aren't other things going on in their lives that are causing them to feel this way. This is just who they are, as opposed to a symptom of something else, some kind of mental illness, that maybe it's just easier if I become a girl. And so you need to get to the root of who a person is, and regardless of what their chromosomes or their genitals are, plain and simple.
Well, I think that so many times they erase the very real conversation where God or the universe or whatever you want to call it puts intersex people onto this planet. And the fact that we all start, this all started that confusion when Donald Trump was trying to define sex at, conception or something like that. And people were like, okay, great. We're all female, at the start, because we all start out, and then as the hormones reach, I'm not a doctor, so this is, my recollection, as the hormones reach the egg or what have you, it starts to decide, things. And I feel like when there can be something that has a different balance chemically, where we then see a manifestation of intersex on the outside, what is keeping us from understanding the spectrum and mixture that be happening on the inside?
I think there's people are just inherently biased with a lot of their beliefs. Religion may have a lot to do with it, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Again, you need to talk to people and hear who they are, hear how they define themselves, and
let them define themselves.
It's funny because sometimes with transgender individuals, you don't want to insult somebody by saying, oh, you pass, or you look so good. But as their doctor, who's seen them from the beginning going through the transition, I don't tell them that they pass. I tell them that they look fabulous.
Yes.
And like it gives me pride to see like that they've become who they believe that they are, and
who they know that they are. Absolutely, yes.
Who they know that they are.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you for correcting me with that. Who they know that they are, and I don't know if I'm steering too far away from the question, but I take a lot of pride when I see someone who started appearing with their birth sex or their assigned sex at birth, and I facilitate their transition by giving them hormonal treatment. And after a couple of years, when I see how real they are as themselves, I take a lot of pride in my work. I take a lot of pride in them as individuals, but it's very real. So I don't know how to answer sometimes to some of the ignorance and hatred that's out there, but I can tell you from my own experience that it's a real thing. I may not be able to explain all of it scientifically, but I don't need to either. I need to believe what I see with my own eyes.
Yes. Thank you for making, because I think that people feel like they have to define everything around them because we put a word on that's a sun and that's a tree and that's a lake instead of sitting with the experience of what that is. They want to put a name on it and they have to find a definition. So I love that you gave us the opportunity to not have to know everything, but I love that you give us the opportunity to actually go on what we actually experience with one another and stop trying to define everything for what this world has given us as definitions.
And there's enough science in place to back up what we're doing medically. There is absolutely enough science, and the the kind of stuff that you see coming out of the Trump administration calling the WPATH guidelines, which guides our treatment, as the so-called WPATH guidelines, and calling it junk science is just outrageously false.
Well, I hope that more people from your industry say that from their chest and have the courage to continue providing care and also stand together when the challenges come, because I don't think that we're quite yet done with this challenge.
No.
But we are going to get through this by supporting one another. So thank you for supporting our community.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you again to Dr. Jeffrey Birnbaum. Let me say that again. Thank you again to Dr. Jeffrey Birnbaum for your work and for joining me on Now. And thank you again to my producer for this Pride series. It's so beautiful, Daniela Carter. And to our sponsors, BTFA, for providing such a beautiful space and access to professional equipment. Just being surrounded in love. Thank you again to the entire team that was there that day, that very long day, helping us out as production assistants, wardrobe, and more. So you can see how things look when I'm not just over here trying to do this one woman show, makeup artist, editor, sound, lights, camera, everything else. But we're getting there. Trust me, we are getting there because slowly but surely we are growing, and we just recently surpassed 6,000 subscribers. Yes, baby, yes. So, we get a couple $100 every once in a while. When we get some views, a couple $100 slide in. So eventually we're going to be able to, pay for maybe the internet, and then we'll be able to pay for more as things grow. But as promised, I want to hear your thoughts, and I brought a few brilliant folks on to talk about this issue lately of is dark money, is there a dark money group that's secretly funding high profile Democratic influencers? Child, like the story sort of broke the internet, and comments have been going back and forth. Influencers being paid not only to create content, but what many of us experienced was some of them behaving like the Democrats' attack dogs, especially that two something, two real something of the screen name. Child, I don't know. All I know is they had came into my mentions and I know they were trying to make a moment, calling themselves trying to address me or something. And I spoke something about Kamala Harris's complicity in the genocide stuff. And they just went off and quoted my post and, called themselves reading me talking about, I don't care who you are, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, honey, listen, I'm going to tell you one thing one time. You don't got to care. But one thing you're not going to do is try to get clout off of correcting me. So I think where I was inaccurate and correcting myself was that Kamala had been repeating claims about rape and, I said rape and beheaded babies, and he got me on a technicality that I guess that Kamala never said anything about beheaded babies. One of the things. But let's be clear. Let's be clear. At this point, I think we were splitting hairs. And I responded back, correcting myself on that minor detail, but also told that tap dancing Two-Face 2 real pick me to have a blessed day, and then blocked him. So I will not be suffering fools trying to create a moment instead of staying on track with the conversation at hand. Folks are getting distracted. We need to be able to resolve discrepancies like adults, right? So when this article came out exposing the money behind, some of these influencers who not only seemed enthusiastic about shouting down pro-Palestine voices, but they also conveniently would never mention the word genocide, and apparently, allegedly, agreed to avoid certain messaging. Listen, I've just been diving into this. I've been traveling. I just got back home. I didn't get to read the article yet, but I brought some folks on who have been in this conversation. I've been trying to produce my own content and keep the lights on. As a matter of fact, wait a second. The one thing I did say, I did post something at one point. I said many of us are out here fighting for, I also said this. Many of us are out here fighting for the same things, but that doesn't mean that we're in community with one another. The term online community is just used too loosely. When there is no accountability, community cannot exist. Folks do all kind of acrobats to avoid being accountable for their actions that created harm. So the key to surviving these next few years will be the people you choose to be in community with, so choose wisely. But I also had said, meanwhile, I almost lost my home after falling several months behind due to getting canceled one too many times from one too many bookings. Not just looked over, but hired and then removed multiple times. We're talking $75,000 in canceled bookings, children. We're talking about also me dealing with $40,000 that is still missing from an agent that filed for bankruptcy. And I'm just waiting on if he could make payments, or if we figuring out something, or if I'm going to have to roll up on him like TLC did Clive Davis. And I no longer trust a single person that was involved and then said nothing, knowing that I was getting pulled off those things, and the reason while they were replacing me with people who would go along with the program. I am almost out of debt, thank goodness. But I've been working my ass off. I worked my ass off doing small jobs trying to do so. Also, one person that I follow, it's Dana White, said many people were harassed and silenced for raising valid criticisms of the Democrats, particularly the party supported Israel. People lost their jobs, degrees, etc. For standing against genocide. Some influencers were paid potentially thousands a month to drown them out. Also, Imani B, who is going to be on here today talking with us, said, I don't know who got paid for what, but what I will say is that folks were and are absolutely vile towards those of us who share more left-leaning takes and information online, specifically on TikTok. I've been harassed and berated real bad. Even to this day, I hear you, girl. And I have never been a Democrat to have been expected to be in support of that. Folks were getting paid for political takes. Shit. I was unemployed for 7 months. Wait, let me get this banner off of here so I can read the rest of this. I was unemployed for 7 months. Child, it's been rough. And I try and find some sympathy, but I don't have much. Also, joining us today, Consciously, I saw made a post that said, to be clear, I think anybody signing a contract that restricts people speaking on genocide, Gaza, Congo, etc., are certified pieces of shit. No mincing of words there. That's why I want to see the contract for myself. I hear the restrictions don't exist. Baby. So, To dive into this conversation today, we have with us Consciously, we have Imani B, and I also have somebody in the car right now, and I'm going to bring her on, Lana Salah, as soon as I know that she's in a safe space, and I'm going to put us on here nice and full screen so we can really get into this chat. But folks, when this article had broke down, I just thought there was a whole bunch of obtuseness going on because I was like, wait, are people being obtuse on purpose, or are people avoiding accountability? What's going on here? Because I understand, wanting to get paid and needing to get paid for certain things, but are we not are we ignoring the experience that just happened over the past election and what that money did to the conversation and accountability that we were trying to have with the candidates we wanted to vote for? Anybody want to start and chime in on that first? Consciously,
Man,
George
what I
Lee.
say as somebody during the election that was at the DNC doing a lot of work with the uncommitted delegates, talking a lot about different things from reproductive justice to criminal justice. I definitely will say that I was in the crosshairs a lot, fighting about my stance for Palestine specifically, and when it came to talking about American imperialism, insofar how the Democratic Party uniquely was, implicated within that, and specifically how you can have the option to be an accessory to a crime, or you can call the police on a crime. You know what I'm saying? That's what they tell my homeboys that's in jail. I will say that when it comes to the 1630 wired thing, it's for me doing my digging and me seeing it. Genuinely, I want to see the contract to see these restrictions. I've seen Elizabeth Booker's content specifically about Gaza, when they're talking about Chris Smalls, or they'll be talking about, what I'm saying, her
But
having
that was
these.
after. That was after, like that content of Chris Small. Because I was
Of
watching.
course, supposed to be right
And
now
if
though.
you listen,
Of course,
yeah,
supposed to be
that's
right
what
now though.
I'm
Like,
saying
of course,
is
supposed to be right now though. It didn't exist.
six.
Didn't exist during the election. It's
Oh, it
important.
didn't exist during the election
Didn't exist
season.
during the election. They was trying to put it together.
Interesting.
As a matter of fact, the article came out the article came out the day before they was putting the application out for chorus. It's a
So,
lot.
so
It's
you're saying didn't
a
know what nobody getting paid
lot.
during the election time to do all that foolishness?
Now, of
Because what
course,
I'm going to put out there is a lot of people was doing a lot of foolishness for free.
yes, that's what you gotta be. That's what you gotta recognize. Let's be real. A lot of people that you was beefing with, they did that on their own accord. I've never seen no contracts where they say you can't talk about Israel Palestine. So if you didn't talk about that, that's something, a decision that you made on your soul, on your own ethics, on your own morals. You can't put that on the contract. You made a decision to not talk about it or talk about it. So it's like I want to see the contract, being real with you. I'm
Yeah.
skeptical. I want to
In
see
the
the contract.
What you got
in
to
the
say, Imani?
article,
Yes.
I was going to say in the article specifically, it literally says that the program kicked off last month.
See what
So
I'm saying? So
we're
it's
talking
like,
about election. We're talking about
like
months of, like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like I can understand the article in terms of pay transparency, being able to be open with your audience, letting your audience know, like, hey, this is the type of content I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera. Now, majority of the people that are online, I don't follow those people. Majority of them people are white content creators. I do not follow white content creators. It's no shade. Maybe it is shade, but I don't, there's nothing that I get from their content, right? Aaron Parnas, he regurgitates real journalists' work. There's nothing that he's saying in his content that is actually something that he is creating, right? Like when you see a Conscious Lee and you hear education is elevation, that is specifically something that he has formed, he has formulated. That is something that he has groomed into his content to really educate his audience on something. Aaron Parnas is literally taking news clippings from actual journalists who have done work, who have done research, who have done fact checking, and just regurgitating that shit. And we already know, it has already been said that he was a Zionist a long time ago. I had him blocked a long time ago. So this idea that is like, oh my God, we had no idea. When has he ever said free Palestine? When has he ever made any mention of an occupation, any mention of a genocide, any mention of a, that's not hard to, one and one is two for me. It's not hard to identify where someone stands when they don't make it clear where they stand.
Well, so that part. So I want to share a couple things because Christina Brown, who would love to join us if she ends up being home in time. I know. I thank you all for hopping on. So because when you're in community with folks, you can just throw a message to folks and be like, "Hey, can we talk about this? Can we get into the details?" So I want to look at this video, and I asked her if I could share this video because I think she brings up a really good point in something that she posted on IG. So let's take a listen. Any reactions to what she has to say? Because I thought sis was spitting facts.
The facts you get, we got to have some real intentionality on the nuances that she said, and people not being purposely manipulative or misunderstanding. Because she said a lot of things about labor, and she said a lot of things about accountability that's just real when it comes to the reality that we're living in. If you make content every day, all day, and when you're making this content, you putting a lot of risk up there. You're risking getting deals, you're risking getting paychecks, you're risking making, relationships. Oh yeah, definitely. There is a lot of transaction that's being lost. I.e., you are literally making it where you don't get those transactions because you said free Palestine or you said fuck Israel. So when it comes to thinking about how you're gonna pay them bills, hey, the likes, the shares, and the comments, stay cool and give a lot of us capital and influence to become said content creators. But a lot of times, because we make content that's politically charged, don't think that our followers equals dollars. You see what I'm saying? To me, I make content about politics. You feel me? T-Mobile or Michelob tires or whatever it is, they not finna sell a product or service.
They're not trying to hear that. They're definitely not trying to back all that up. Absolutely.
YouTube ain't rocking with me either. YouTube, Facebook, all these. If I say a politically charged message, the monetization ain't rocking with me. So even if you see some videos that got millions of views, I ain't get paid nothing off of that. So it comes to, hey, how I'm gonna get paid? You feel me? And
I want to say this. Like, yeah, no, go ahead.
This is just last thing I say. It's the last thing I say. I hope in my most education, pedagogical mind, I hope that this conversation about dark money has dropped the seed, because it has in me, to really go and do some research about what dark money is, about what specific cases allow for this loophole to happen, and for us to really see that, to me, my beef is with capitalism and how a democracy has been able to use capitalism to really shield a lot of shit we supposed to have in popular sovereignty and one vote, one count. You see what I'm saying? And to me, it's like, I think an analysis that centers systems and institutions is a much better one than like a hit piece on individuals. For instance, Kenny Too Raw Too Real, fam is a liberal. You feel me? I know him in real life. He a liberal. He would have said all the liberal shit he said. He would say he said that. You see what I'm saying? I don't think he got paid to say it. I think he said that's how he really feel. He really loved Kamala Harris.
I know that man was shouting down like on the social media, like literally was one of the loudest, like a chihuahua shouting down pro-Palestine folks. Like, and at any argument that would come up, it was like he was he would do a video in defense of the campaign against that talking point, as if he was being paid to do so.
Yeah, that was based off his own accord. You know what I'm saying? Some with the article though, I think that I find interesting is that in the past 4 months, Kenny has tried to be like aha got you, like, hey, I was talking about genocide in Palestine, then Kamala Harris. Now Trump is in office. How's it going for y'all? He's made content about this. Well, he calls it a genocide, but he doing it in like shit. Y'all like it now. So for me, it's just like this article that's caused all this. Is like,
where's the connection though? That's what I'm trying to say. Why is it that? And I feel like it's the same audience. I think we're talking about the same audience here for me, because I feel like a lot of us were trying to chew gum and walk at the same time by acknowledging that what's happening is on both sides. One is doing the destruction and one is doing the real estate development. It's stage 1 and stage 2. But we got here because Biden was licking ice cream and telling us that things was going to be okay and that we were going to have a ceasefire. Meanwhile, Anthony Blinken has come out talking about the whole time we was lying. They actually wasn't really going to do no ceasefire. Every time we brought it up, really Netanyahu was going to but they were telling y'all that Hamas was the one that was messing up the ceasefire. And so what I'm trying to say is when those messages were coming down, who was pushing those messages the hardest was these influencers that seemed to be getting paid to basically, as we're calling out all of these discrepancies, I'm fighting with my own people who I thought we were revolutionaries. I thought we were pointing out certain things, and all of a sudden you seem compromised to me for a photo op at the White House. That's what it was feeling like to me. I want to bring in and I want to make sure I say your name correctly. Lana Salah.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
Lana, I saw because I follow you, and the funny thing is that I think you end up in community with people, especially online. And I say again, community, online community, and what happens is over time we have to do that due diligence of being accountable with each other and say, sis, I'm not sure that it lands it the way you wanted to, or I'm not sure that that was the point you wanted to make, or that might be transphobic, sis, you might want to pull back. And there are different ways from different groups that have been able to tap in on each of us to be like, hey, when we build community, so I'm listening to certain voices, I'm listening to Palestinian voices like yours. So as we've been having this conversation, where is your understanding, especially with this between both this messy article from Taylor Lorenz, but the heart, I guess, of what she was trying to get to in the conversation we all need to be having about revealing what is helping us keep the lights on as we're putting our points on the table?
I read the article, and I understood that like this all happened like or was happening recently, not during the election per se. So I did understand that. I think for me, what made this really kind of propel into another dimension was people's reactions to it. I already knew that there was, a lot of kind of during the election, there was already a lot of people who were shouting down, pro-Palestinian voices and excluding pro-Palestinian voices. So to me, it felt like it was a continuation of the same. But the people on the list were, I, some of them I had no familiarity with. They were a variety of people, and some of them have had a variety of like some of them have said genocide, some of them haven't, some of them have said it, and so and it's people want to say it's you can't judge people's activism by their social media presence and things like that, but if that's what you do, then I think I can, right? Like I feel like that's kind of like
Can we
what
pause
you
there for a
do.
second?
Yeah.
What do y'all think about what she put on the table there? Because that is the thing to me, because I get irritated when I see someone go hard all of a sudden, like it's like selective outrage as an activist, and I'm like, whoa, like, oh, so we doing that now, but you do activism, but it turns off on certain things, especially, and I'm gonna say this because I want to open this up, especially because what I have learned, I am a black trans woman. Listen to me. I thought my life was just gonna be makeup and lip syncing. When I first started off, I didn't know that about American imperialism, all this other stuff. And as I started to learn these things, watching the Israelism documentary, learning about history from actual Palestinians or whatnot, I'm like, oh, hold up. Oh, so wait, this is connected. The reason why we also are even benefiting electronically with all these capitalistic companies and technology with the cobalt and the Congo is because American interests and us creating situations that destabilize these other countries. I'm like, wait a minute. I wasn't paying attention in geography and history and all these things. I didn't really know that because they just wasn't teaching it through the right lenses. It was through a colonizer lens. So I want to open that up to you all. What she's saying there is that the experience that you see as well?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think people have this interesting way of deflecting in the moments where it's saying, hey, we need your voices. I'm wearing Lumumba, right? Free Congo. right? And I can say free Congo with my whole chest. And not because I know all the ins and outs and A to Z's of what's happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but I know a basic level of what is happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo, how it is that I play a role with my privilege. And I think that's also where it starts. People act like they don't have privileges, especially marginalized people. Oh, just because I'm Black, that somewhere I don't have any privilege. I'm American still. So I have privileges. I have a level of education that other people don't have. So I have privileges. I have a home. I have food.
Able
I have
body,
a
maybe.
car. I have privileges, right? And so as a result of that, I recognize, there's also a level of privileges that because I have them, somebody has less. Because that is the American system, right? The more that you have, the less someone else has. We are a have and have not society. So when I see people say, oh, you can't judge where somebody stands about something just because they didn't say anything, where the people of Palestine asked you to speak. The people of the Congo asked you to speak.
That's the other thing. People are actually asking you and begging you to speak. They're actually, whether someone's performative or not, people are begging for it. Lana, you were going to say something?
I just think it's really intellectually disingenuous when people come at it from that angle because, again, what are we on the internet for if not to have a voice and to speak our truth? And this is one of the biggest issues facing us today that our tax dollars are funding.
Well,
and
so
we
most
have kind
people
of a
say they're on the
hand
internet for just cat videos, and things like that, but they don't even understand. Even the cat person,
Might
even
the
but even there's a main account. He's like the cat something other.
Cat Illuminati,
baby. He be talking free. I mean, he's going hard on it, and all he was doing was use. I mean, I won't say all he was doing. I know that his account started out probably, with the intentions of just doing nice cat videos, because who doesn't love a nice cat video? But that cat video need to wait right now sometimes when we got more important things to talk about, and people are curating their social media pages as if we're not in a fascist state and as if we have there's nothing that we can do.
I mean, I think we can put aside the regular people, like specific to the people that are in these articles or in this article, or the people that are jumping to defend people, and this became this whole thing. To me, specific to those people, like we can accept that if you haven't talked about it online, then something's up.
So, yeah, for sure.
That's it.
Ain't no way around it.
I don't need Taylor Lawrence to write an article about Aaron Parnas or whoever else. I have eyes. We see, we're on the internet. And I think, like I said, the reaction was more telling. And just as a Palestinian kind of sitting, and I'm going to say on the sidelines, because I feel like we were kind of pushed to the sidelines of this whole thing. Like, my name Bennett and I ain't in it. Cause what's going on here? Okay. That's why I said at the end of the day, the reaction to me, because I just look at people like, if it's so detrimental and damaging and false and incorrect, and look, I'm sure you guys maybe too, but
No.
No.
Oh no!
I want to hear that point.
Oh, there you are. Wait, let's see. I lost your audio, so we might need you. I got your video, but we don't have your audio. I want to play another video really quick, and then I'm gonna bring you back on. So we'll listen to this video. This is what my sis, that I know everybody doesn't feel the things, but we just want to hear what the sis Miss Amanda Seals had to say
about this Taylor Lorenz, my Democrat article that came out. I referenced it, but I haven't talked about it explicitly, and I will on this week's episode of Views from Land. However, it don't matter if you Black, white, if you are of Mexican descent, Asian descent, if you're taking dark money to make videos supporting establishment, you're an op. And when you're doing that, to also undermine leftists and other folks who have very valid concerns, you are an op. I was a victim of this.
So I think I'm pausing it for a second because I think where she's coming from, and I'm not sure, because now that after even having this conversation with you and kind of seeing her video as well, for me, it sounds like what she's explaining is also what I experienced was during the election time, and so I don't know who, what, if there was any sort of funding, but I do know it seemed to be a opposition, a orchestrated opposition, because it wasn't just it was just like so many different people that we were battling with this. So I'm going to continue playing that, but I think that I wanted to pause her because I think that she's responding to the article too as well, but I think there's some misunderstanding that's just in general out there. Again, I hadn't even gotten into it fully myself, where to know if are they talking about during
I
the election
I
time or during
watched
now.
her I watched her video, this one too, and
Uh-huh.
I just think that even though it didn't happen during the election, none of those people mentioned started overnight. Like this is,
Right.
it's
Right.
like there's a reason why certain people were approached to be in it. There's a reason why. I just think like we can separate that. We can say it started after the election, but we can also say these that a lot of these people have been operating this way for months and months and months now.
And that's what I think is
That's
like. I think is the thing. It's like
go ahead,
if you have
conscious.
people
Yes.
that's already been complicit in genocide, you have people that's already been playing into the banality of evil. You already have people that's been in business as usual. I'm sorry, we can't put all imperialism on the election because we have to do business as usual. Like there's nothing I think that we have to be able to criticize individuals on their ethics and morals and not allow for them to scapegoat them into an election. I feel like when Malcolm X talked about how as long as you believe you can't free yourself in Mississippi, or he said, as long as you believe you can't free the niggas in Congo until you free Mississippi, you'll never be free in Mississippi. I think it's something that I've been really repeating throughout the election. A lot of us is just selfish. A lot of us is lost in the sauce of our own American privileges, and we feel like as a result, fuck everybody in the international world. I don't care about what's going on over there. I only care about my grandma getting insulin. It's like, hey, you can care about genocide and your grandma making insulin. I think you both of those. Why is you pitting, you feel me, reproductive justice against genocide? Like you can be against both of these things now. You see what I'm saying? And I think because
Well, can we
folks
talk about the fact? Can we talk about the fact that this quickly turned into a example for the people when we were hearing noise of this ain't our fight, this ain't our movement, rest. Everybody's resting right now, and because there's a couple things I need to clarify about rest. Now, I'm not gonna try to get nobody in trouble, but I need to clarify. I need some clarification around rest because I get it. We all listen, especially those who have those marginalized identities, who've been putting their bodies on the front line, who've been doing, who've been speaking up and doing all these things and experiencing repercussions. Rest is part of that revolutionary strategy. However, I got a couple things about that rest. One, I just got to get down to this because here go the thing. Folks was like, okay, Kamala did her thing. Y'all did not want that woman as president. So even though we are sliding fast into fascism, she can rest. And then it was like, she's not resting. She's going to go on a book tour first. And she's going to sell us a book regurgitating the 107 days that we do not want to relive. And have an event where you gonna think that you not like Chuck Schumer or anybody else, or Hakeem Jeffries trying to shuck a book, and we not gonna show up to the party. So one is rest, I guess, a thing that should be happening there, and then obviously talking to how quickly things change from us resting to realizing we were next on the menu, even though most of us knew this was already a part of the program.
I had so much pushback from people online because one, the whole 92% thing, I said it's very weird to me. I think it's very odd, especially as a Black woman, especially as a mother, and I said this and I'll still stand by that, is that people are resting from a toil that they did not toil. People are resting from the work of others. People are talking about the civil rights movement. You weren't alive during the civil rights movement, sis. People are talking about enslavement. You weren't alive during Harriet, sis. Like, let's not use what it is that our ancestors had to go through, what they had to persevere through, what they had to fight through, what they had to endure as the barometer to say, well, I'm tired, because you're not you haven't done the work, you haven't put in the work to be able to say I have to put the work down. You haven't picked anything up. So the concept of the people that were saying, oh, I went in a, it takes you 3.5 seconds to tick off whatever you need to tick off. And if you do a mail-in ballot like I did, you just tick it off, you fold it in, you take it to wherever, you drop it in the box. That takes a couple of seconds. If you consider that work, with all that we have up against us as Black people, as marginalized people, as queer people, as trans people, that is not the type of work that we need. That is not liberation. That is not going to lift us from oppression. When we were outside for Afeni in DC, and people were saying that that sister got what she deserved because that sister spoke up against Kamala Harris, and because she was talking about voting third party, because God forbid people don't believe in a duopoly, people are raised in the Black radical tradition and don't consider themselves Democrat or Republican. People claim that this sister deserved to be maced, harassed, and assaulted by the Metropolitan Police Department here in DC, that she deserved that simply because of that. Yet that sister is actually on the front line. That sister actually puts her body on the line. That sister was literally putting her body on the line for our children in a metro station in DC. Our children, somebody else's babies, were able to get home safely, while that sister was literally getting tossed up and thrown in a jail and could not be found until 5 a.m. in the morning, when the jail was literally a couple of blocks away from the train station. So when we're talking about rest, that sister needs rest. That sister was still outside of the courtroom today in DC, making sure that the people that have been unlawfully locked up here in DC, detained by the federal agencies that we have here on the ground, she was still in front of the courthouse today, advocating for those people too, making sure that they got the assistance and the things that they needed. So when people keep talking about this whole concept of rest, or we could have been at brunch, they weren't looking to be liberated. They were looking to keep their crumb. They were looking to keep
and to go back to brunch and doing the things that they were doing before, because they weren't even a part of the organizers. That's why so many times there were so many conversations happening. People are like, oh, well, why this and why that? It's because you're not in conversations with people, organizers doing the work now. You're at brunch.
And you really believe that going to the ballot every 4 years is a substitute to be able to berate and chastise folks that's really doing work, that's really do work all the time. That's really all it's coming down to right now. To me, all of the liberal leftist shit is like, so do you believe this state is reformable? And do you believe that you're able to always already fight for your liberty to have it? I don't think we can have. I don't think this state is reformable. I think this shit is bankrupt, morally bankrupt. Goddamn, I think that America can only just do genocide. Whether we're talking about genocide to Native Americans, genocide to Congolese, genocide to Palestinians, it's what we're talking about. We're talking about genocide. You see what I'm saying? And it's just like a lot of people believe that, hey, genocide is cool. Mimosas can get French toast. It's like, hey, when you was talking about doing them brunches, our Black children still was thinking, you know what I'm saying? In Texas especially, we still was getting our education taken away from us. You feel me? We still had college students getting their head beat in during by the administration because they said genocide was bad. I'll never forget that shit. From Columbia University to University of Texas to UCLA. If you said genocide was bad and you took up your First Amendment right, you got to jail.
Listen, that was something to me. That was something to me that disturbed my barometer of. It disturbed my barometer, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It made things super difficult with me with Kamala and Biden. It made things extremely difficult because you got kids on a college campus.
I was at UCLA.
Which are studying international law. You were at please, yes, you were at UCLA.
I went to UCLA the night they arrested them. They came in, and I wanted to go see it. I'm obviously way out of college, but I wanted to go see it because it was the first time as a Palestinian that I've lived in America most of my life. I've lived abroad too, but it was the first time I had ever seen that ever happened for Palestine. So I was like, let me go see it with my own eyes. And so I went down there and I saw the cops waiting. There were dozens of cop cars, and there were also hundreds of students, and they were all in community with each other, working together. And it was, I was crying because I never, first of all, like I said, I never witnessed it, but second of all, they weren't doing anything. And I'm like, these cops are gonna come and get them. And I was there for an hour or two and I left, and at nightfall they did go in. And that was after they got beat up by the neighbors. So to me, like, that was it's just inexcusable. And the fact that people try to like wash over that, or just wash over what they did to those kids for no reason, okay,
I don't even have kids. When I tell you my uterus was hurting, I don't even have, when I say that I don't even have it one, but I say that to say that, like, I was literally like thinking I could see myself in hair rollers. I could see myself in hair rollers coming up to the school in a robe. Like, I know you are not with my child here, who is here to learn about these things and think that they have the right to speak up about something they're learning in international law. And you're trying to now tell them they don't know what they're talking about. That anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Girl, huh?
Yeah.
They really
That threw my
showed
barometer
UCLA.
off.
And they continued on that, and they still continued. And that's why I'm like, at this point, we're so far into this, we're coming up on 2 years, and we're still splitting hairs on ridiculous nonsense. It's unnecessary. Whoever hasn't spoken out and isn't, like, doing what they can do, whether it's speaking up, whether it's mutual aid, whether it's whatever it is, because we're contributing to this. How do I feel that my tax dollars are going to kill my people? This is such a dystopian reality. Okay. And I can't sleep. I can't wake up. There are literally dozens of people from Gaza in my mentions, in my comments every day, telling me they're dying of hunger. How does that make me feel? I don't even want to get on the internet some days. And then I come to find out that people are literally like having parasocial relationships with influencers and people, to the point where they're like, let Gaza burn. And I'm like, I don't identify with this humanity that or whatever party or whoever. I just block and move on, because we've passed the
It's
point
definitely
of.
a mask removing moment where people are revealing what's really behind their motivations here.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
very
had
scary.
we have had such a
Amani?
lack of education in this country, and as somebody who lived abroad for many years and unfortunately had to come back to the United States of America, I really underestimated the lack of education that Americans have with all the privilege that we have. We have been thrown
Man.
capitalism and consumerism in our faces. That's what content creation is. It is a way to pacify people that eventually you could be like this person, right? Influencer culture has done so influencer culture has done away with celebrity culture, and now everybody believes that they can be an influencer. So if I just do a get ready with me every single day and do a makeup and do a this and do a that, I can just stay on this trek of making millions of dollars and I'll be famous. But if you say something that's like, oh God, something that's like free Palestine, oh, I can't talk about that, no brand is going to want to work with me, why the fuck would you then opt to choose that path of working with brands that don't even give a fuck about humanity? It will never make any sense to me. The amount of conversations that I had with people who had no idea that it was Palestinian refugees in the West Bank that donated to victims of Hurricane Katrina. People are like, oh, Palestinian people ain't never did anything for us. Do you know your history?
We're in
Do you
Ferguson.
know what people were telling us on Twitter when we were getting maced during Ferguson? Do you know that we found out how to use milk versus water to get that out of our eyes? That was from people in fucking Palestine.
Not only that,
There
there's a
are
lot more than that.
Palestinians. I mean, I don't look. There are black people in Gaza. And look, if you really
Sure are.
want to get deep, the truth is that once they took out Gaddafi, nothing's been the same. Okay, they
Don't
destroyed
get me started.
all that joins us was really represented by Gaddafi, and there was a reason why they took him out, and now we're sitting here just playing games like the CIA wants us to play. And
Right.
I personally am just seeing, like, it's all COINTELPRO. It's all to me, whenever it fires up, whenever we get to this point where it fires up, I know that they're pushing. Whether somebody's paying dark money, whether that's to me what dark money means is that if somebody tells you you can't disclose, which is what it said. I read those two parts of the little two sections of the contract, they were posted. If somebody says you can't disclose the funding, it begs questions. If somebody says that you have to run things by when you talk to politicians, or like certain things were like, that's, I guess, why people were up in arms. Okay. So to me, it's just like you're taking money, you're taking money to say or not say things, or behave or not behave in ways that affect public policy, that affect humans. And I think that's where you have to be, the integrity and the ethics have to be a little bit higher.
Consciously, were you? I heard you.
I agree.
What were you saying?
I agree with everything. I agree so much. I just think that when we start having minority groups pit against each other, it really already pissed me off. And I think it's just, to be clear, the resting part is not my indictment. Everybody should rest. Capitalism forces us to always be productive. And the reading I've done, rest can be very revolutionary. Rest can be very revolutionary. I'm so every time right now I'm stuttering. But my point is, when you say we're gonna sit this one out, when you start to engage in resentment, when you start to act like a child that is, you know what I'm saying, going for blood, where you talking about now bragging about eating McDonald's and Starbucks, to me, that's not about rest. You're being spiteful. You're being hateful.
Respectfully, every time I see somebody come on the internet, and they do it every day, and say, how do you all like that now? How do you Palestinians like that now? You should have voted for Kamala. And the amount of people that are still coming on the internet and saying that, with the ignorance of not understanding that AIPAC owns pretty much everybody on both parties, including your favorites. And you're going to come and say
Marjorie
that to me
Greene
with a straight
Taylor.
face?
She told y'all. Marjorie didn't tell. When Marjorie, listen, y'all. When I saw the video, Marjorie was dead ass. Did y'all see how dead ass Marjorie was? Marjorie
What
was like,
timeline is this?
oh my God.
What timeline?
You feel me? Timeline crazy, huh? We ain't on the same timeline. Shit. What Marjorie said that I probably agree with, because I don't even agree with her.
Marjorie said it before Bernie.
Yes, Marjorie literally. Yes, she was literally like, I don't.
Bernie.
And she literally is like, I don't know what it is. It's like AIPAC has some control over every single one of my colleagues. And like, she's so dead ass having a aha moment. And it's so funny to watch, because I'm like, what's happening? I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but because I know that doesn't mean she's going to all of a sudden be less conservative on all these other issues. But at least this is a thread, because to me, the thread is the biggest question I would love each y'all to answer, and then I'm going to let y'all go because I know we've been talking. The biggest question that I think I would love to hear you all answer. And I know you just talked about it a little bit in saying, this ain't our fight or what have you. In your perspective, when we have movements that we're trying to push right now, like Stop Cop City, but too late, because it's popping up across America. And now we have a different president who's already been giving, they've already laid the land of ICE and absorbed cop funding. So, can't go there anymore. When it comes to police brutality and recognizing the intricacies between the police and the IOF, when we look at fascism and the control of messaging. When we talk about as Americans, we've been told about what other countries do to control what we see and hear. And all of a sudden, we open up TikTok and don't realize it's a bubble, girls. You're not seeing the world. You're not seeing the things. Their media is not showing you everything. So I would love for you each to connect the dots from where you stand as Americans, as a Palestinian American, as a Black American, as a Black woman, as Black, all the different intersections you come from. What the hell does Palestine got to do with us?
I can at least say, because I was born here and I've been fighting this fight for decades. Like, this is not new to us. Palestine has always been like a barometer, I think. It's just now it's becoming more mainstream. But if because Israel is a colonial outpost, and we all understand that now it's there for strategic purposes and interests, it's the question of, like, where do you stand on that? And I think, I think with all the talk that's happening now with like us basically funding it explicitly. We've been funding it for decades, but like identifying this as genocide and explicitly funding genocide, I think that's where, like, we need to really open our eyes. Because look, I all our internet is technically filtered, censored, all our socials, everything we get. I've lived in the Middle East. It's far worse, there. And we at least have, some flow of information. So for us to be infighting is what I'm going to call it at this point. Because in my opinion, everybody that's fighting about this is closer to being like the Palestinians than being like what's going on with the elites and the billionaires and people, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's closer to that than whatever they're standing and following, and Taylor Swift and Kamala Harris and whoever else. So the idea that our liberation is not intertwined is so false. It's like so false, because we're watching them experiment on Palestinians. We're watching them just test all kinds of weapons on them. We're watching all the technology being sent there for testing. Okay. Where's that going to go next? Who's that for? If not mass control. So that's, to me, like, other than the fact that we're paying for it, and we know now our eyes are open and we should be ethically and morally concerned about that. The fact that those chickens will come home to roost. Palantir is in this. All of these guys that are controlling and are parts of our Department of Defense now in government, all of them are involved in this genocide. All of these tech companies. So all of those chickens will come home to roost. And we are currently in a fascist state, but it will become more and more of a police state once they finish with the Palestinians. And trust me, it makes me feel awful to say that, but that's how they view it. Once we finish with the Palestinians, we'll get to the rest of you guys. Okay?
And so to remind folks too, you might think it's a white man over at Palantir, but that's a Black man. That's that CEO, the CEO child of
You're talking about Alex Karp?
That dude, yes.
No, Karp. Alex Karp. They're all Afrikaners. They're all Afrikaners.
There's a guy that there's a guy. He's got like he looks like he's light skinned. He has got like kind of curly, and they like
Alex
recently
Karp.
confronted him. Yes. Yeah,
I don't think he's. They're not. I'm pretty sure they're all Afrikaners. They're Afrikaner. They're
Afrikaner.
Right?
Oh no!
Okay, I'm a Google. Go ahead, Conscious.
Alex Karp was born in New York City, the eldest son to Robert Karp, a Jewish clinician, clinical pediatrician, and Leah Jane Karp, an African American artist. So, bro, he's
right. So,
bro's light skin. Okay, she's right. Yeah.
Shit. Mind blown.
That's what I was trying. So that's what I was trying to tell you. So I was right. So look, listen, because I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I will go to the internet and I will tell y'all that I got some stuff wrong. Anytime I done got some information wrong, I'll be like, look, oh, my bad. So, and I will put a correction. I'll do all the things. But I'm telling you, I knew that man was Black.
His mama
So what y'all got?
Mean.
What says y'all? What is this? What does Palestine got to do with us?
You want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, Palestine is us. I'm in DC right now. Outside in the front of my building is the National Guard, armed National Guard
That
in the
sounds
front of
familiar.
my building, occupying our city, right? We are literally seeing the ripple effects of what is happening in Palestine. When people were saying, we are not free until everybody is free, that is not just a slogan because it's fun to say on social media. That is something that you need to understand, that there is no way that you can have an entire group of people completely subjugated in 2025 and believe that that will never impact you. We have told people for the longest time that the IOF has ties with our police departments. Metropolitan Police Department in DC has been going oops upside everybody's head on Trump's orders. In addition to that, we have talked about, and I've talked about it specifically because I'm an HBCU graduate, that ties that isn't real has with our HBCUs. And feel free to go ahead and look it up. They have been going to Isn't Real for years and been partnering. Howard University has a partnership with the Department of Defense, the DOD. What do they do? Yeah, bombs. Yeah, arsenals, weapons, all of those things that cause destructions in other places. There is a boomerang effect that happens. The things that we do outwardly to other places and other neighborhoods and other communities will circle and cycle back to us. When people were talking about, oh, they're going to turn Gaza into a parking lot, look what the fuck happened in Altadena. Did our government help our people in Altadena? Did our government help the
and
people?
And do you know they're about to get rich off of real estate development over there? And Kenya Barris wants to make a sitcom about it?
Do you know they're doing the same thing in Maui? That now looks like what? A parking lot. You don't think these things are intentional? People think these things are conspiracy theories. Now, when you look at Katrina, I call it the Katrina genocide 20 years later, and you find out that it wasn't the hurricane that killed Black folks, but Black folks were actually being hunted. In the midst of an actual crisis, our people were being hunted. That is.
I didn't see the documentary because I didn't really want to go there because I'm already ready to fight, and I know that other people not. So until y'all really ready to like understand because as a Black trans woman, I didn't learned already. Nope. My body not putting that on the front line, not so y'all can chill back in your comfort and be like, it gets better. Hell no.
No.
But when y'all ready to actually fight, I'm here.
No, and I think that, like I said, it's really a matter of when you look at it, right? I was raised to understand what my privileges were, and the reason that I have my privileges were to work on behalf of those who don't. Were to ensure that there is some equity across the board, that my people were able to rise up to wherever it is that they needed to have whatever it is that they needed. Everyone is not necessarily taught that. Some folks really, truly, and honestly believe, I got mine, you got to figure out how to get yours. I voted for Kamala, y'all gonna fuck around and find out. Hey, guess what? We all got Trump as a president. Regardless of who you voted for individually or collectively as a 92% or collectively as a whatever percent, everybody has to deal with the effects of Trump being in office. What the hell are you going to do?
Hell yeah. And I'll try to be quick with mine. I got three reasons. Uniquely why the Palestinian struggle is always inextricably tied to the Black struggle. The first one is education. In Israel, they're able to give their citizens free education. When they deny Black folks getting this school funding, or we talk about getting college, you know what I'm saying, getting college paid for, the reason why I can't get that, but Israel get that, that's a direct link. We have disproportionate impacts on education for Black people, but we see Israel is able to give that. We're able to give billions of dollars in funds for the defense, and they're able to put their money in education, but we don't have the money for education. That's one reason. Second reason right there, healthcare. In America, we start talking about Black folks getting healthcare. They say they don't have the money, but they do have money to send billions of dollars to Israel. So we know that Black people are disproportionately impacted by the healthcare system. In their healthcare system, they get free healthcare. So Black folks can get free healthcare, but we can give money to Israel to go blow up Muhammad in Gaza. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Third thing, policing. Not only what she said, what Imani got into, get a little deeper. Cop City Cop City and the Israeli forces have a training, you know what I'm saying, thing they do together. So when we talking about Cop City going on all around America, they're sending American law enforcement to Israel where they're perfecting tactics of putting shit upside Palestinians' head so they can perfect it doing it to niggas. So when you think about surveillance, policing tactics, a lot of those things are perfected on the bodies of Palestinians to then be inscribed here in America on black folks. That's the reason in 2014 why so many people in Palestine was able to talk to niggas in Ferguson, which brings us to my third point, education. You feel me? Not education, the history, right? When I'm learning about Huey P. Newton, when I'm learning about Amari Baraka, when I'm learning about Malcolm X, it's a reason why a part of their global politic is intentional about Palestine. It's a reason why I can view pictures of Huey P. Newton in 1976, 1978. Now, I can see them literally in Lebanon. In the height of the crack epidemic, he still had the space to be able to say, genocide the Palestinians bad, and the crack epidemic happening in my community. I'm gonna do something about that. Here, I'm gonna do something about that. So it's showing you that everything in Palestine has always been tied to niggas. They're going to be able to perfect policing on them and then do it to us. They're going to be able to deny our education, deny our healthcare, and then give it to them. At the same time, tell us we can't get it. So we can't get reparations, but you got $5 billion to send over there. So we can't get healthcare, but you got $5 billion. I can just keep on going on and on and on, but it's like, hey, it's a reason why Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, anybody that can be seen as a Pan-Africanist, why they got manufactured narratives to view them as always already dictators, irrational people, to always be able to cause instability. How can we destabilize institutions, communities, and countries? By causing chaos and by killing people. And that's just the reality. The last thing I'll say is I'll be upset that Black people uniquely got convinced that when we bolster police funding, that it don't impact us. When that white man said that he was gonna get the enemy within, he said he gonna start next with the criminals, you know what I'm saying, with the homegrown criminals. I'm mad at every Black person that decided to ignore that. So you thought that giving the record amount of funds to ICE, record amount, ICE is a police, you see what I'm saying? They gave a record amount of funding to the police, and you don't think niggas gonna be impacted? What? This man said he gonna send the military to 19 different states, and all of them just so happen to be Black ran. We gonna sit this one out though? What?
No,
Man,
and
that's
we
crazy.
can't, and
By
we
the
can't
way,
sit it out. Yes.
speaking of Gaddafi, I got to see Gaddafi speak in my university many years ago, and
Wow.
and I will never forget because it's such a it's looking back and rewatching his speeches. I mean, I was young at the time, obviously, but looking back and rewatching his speeches, especially now in light of everything that's happened in the years since, I feel like I was uniquely like blessed to be able to have been there and heard in person. So I mean, consciously you're on the right, like that's the track, and you're on the right track. And that's, I think, people need to know their history, and there's a reason why they don't want us to know this history. So
Yeah, the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, they was rocking with the Black Panthers. You see what I'm saying? And because I know shit like that, it's like I'm not trying to hear it ain't my fight, it ain't my cause. It's like the people I look up to, it's a reason why they was able to connect these dots. I came across a
And you get
newspaper
caught
article from
up.
1970.
Oh, go ahead. What's that?
I came across a newspaper article from 1970 with the Black Panther Party, and they were talking specifically about imperialism and how America uses Israel as an arm for imperialism in the world from 1970.
Ooh.
70.
And we didn't know those articles. I'm telling you, it's so. And what I'm learning too, because I tell people this when it comes to trans advocacy, when I'm doing certain things, what I'm very tired of, and I need people to start to recognize, is that you have to realize, sweetie, this is new to you. And that there has been an orchestrated effort at keeping information out of people's hands. So you don't have to take it personal. You don't have to take it as your own personal failing, because the system has been intentionally failing us, intentionally leaving some of y'all dumbasses behind, intentionally doing all of these things. So it's knowing your history, learning all these different things that are going to get us through. Before we go, I wanted to ask you consciously, like, because I know I've seen you get in a little kerfuffles, and I have your back. Just number one, this black trans woman over here, I got your back, and I know that you've been accused of, you know, being against black women, you know, with your criticisms, whether it's of Kamala Harris or of Jasmine Crockett, I think it was, or I can't think exactly who it was, but can we, and I want you to speak on this, and I would love, Imani, if you could tap into this too, because I'm just going to say this, and I might run, but I'm going to say this, and I'll say it like this. When I did a panel discussion a couple years back about the violence that trans women experience against, from black men, basically. We were very easily able to talk about, that conversation. I had a couple black men that were on that sort of talked about the problematic, intersections and what have you. And then I had a conversation with black women, and it was incredible, with Brittany Packnett Cunningham, Francesca Ramsey, Hope Giselle, Bevy Smith, Sidra Smith. It was a great conversation of women who understand the intersections of those things. But there were so many black women in the comment section who were like, what has this got to do with us? And we were trying to point out that everybody has a slice of responsibility, from the trans people and our decisions to engage with the folks, to the men who are causing the violence, to the women who are telling those men, you're not really men. You're not really straight if you're dealing with trans women, or, doing all these things. And so trying to have that conversation, it was okay and cute with the group, the panel, but like as a group, it was so hard to have a conversation of accountability, as if we were trying to blame them for the whole plot of it all. And I feel like there's remnants of this here, where people are behaving people are behaving in ways in which we have to call each other in and hold each other accountable, but then they're using identity politics to try to save themselves from that accountability. So when you have other black people who are also intellectual, who are also movement people, who you should, because my thing is, I tell people one thing: I know I'm a leader, but I don't have to argue about my power. I know I'm a leader because if I say I'm great, I'm accountable to being great. That means the people who are around me, are holding me accountable to being great. Because if that shit wasn't great, it wasn't great. So, and you need to be told that shit wasn't great. So, number one, y'all know, all the time as we're building this community, I offer accountability as a two-way street to anybody on this call, to anybody who comes to me with common sense and not is trying to have a moment and be disrespectful. But how do you see trying to get us, because you say education is elevation, but what happens when folks are blocking that education due to trying to run away from accountability politics, accountability and things like that?
I try to simplify it to who attacking. For instance, in the trans example, I think like when they start talking about trans people trying to erase real women and trans people are leading the attack against women, I just started thinking about, so how many trans people are passing policies to attack black women's reproduction? So when we start thinking about the policy legislations that's impacting the livelihood of black women, how much trans people are we, like, how much accountability are we putting that on trans people? So who's attacking women for real? That's what I think about. It's just sometimes it's good for me to simplify things, put away all my academic
Yes, a
terms.
good ass question. Yes.
It's just who attacking who, man. So for me, even right now, you got a lot of black people talking shit about immigrants. It's like, hey, man. So when niggas is losing free lunch, are immigrants doing it? No. When black women are getting their reproductive freedom attacked, is it immigrants that's doing it? No. Is it immigrants that's the people that's in DC right now terrorizing niggas in DC? It's immigrants. Okay, so when they going in DC and they terrorizing, and they being like, you African American, you good. You Ethiopian, Habesha, I'm whooping your ass. You Somalian, African American mom, you good. No, they're not doing that. They going in seeing
unless
what? You can be a Zionist.
Unless they're taking the job, because we're seeing people who are
We ain't talking
immigrants
about
and
that.
black
I ain't talking
people
about them.
who are donning the inner. So, and as we go, and I promise now I'm leaving, but as we go,
There.
we do realize that this is all going to have a hindsight. This is all going to have a moment where we look back on these times and have to talk about these things, and people who put on those uniforms, people who went along, who complied, are going to say, "I was just doing my job."
Little Eichmanns. Swear to God, little Eichmanns. Little Eichmanns, man. To me, I feel like as somebody that do a lot of work around sex work, somebody that do a lot of work around, you feel me? I stick with sex work. As somebody doing work around sex work. To me, you don't get to pick and choose what's legitimate in terms of work, and you don't get to pick and choose how you're able to dictate body's values. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, hey, if you if you are saying that this particular thing is not work, or you're saying that this particular thing shouldn't have any, I ain't gonna go there with you. I ain't even because I ain't gonna go there actually. I ain't gonna go there actually. I know.
I'm
gonna go there actually.
I'm with you.
I just think what's the most important.
I'm with you.
I think what's the most important, maybe one of the most important takeaways from this is like, as marginalized groups, whether it's trans, whether it's black, whether it's Palestinian, whether it's like I think we're getting to the point where the infighting and attacking of each other is only serving empire, is only like that's ultimately what all this is about. And whether it was the article that started it, whether it's going to be lawsuits that end it, whatever it may be in between, like we always have to keep drawing ourselves back to like what's important. And like consciously said, like what is really causing this problem? Trans women are not ruining things for other women. You know what I mean? Like, like statistically speaking. So really getting into like real common sense things and sticking with those points, because everything now is deflection from reality, common sense, and just stuff we see with our own eyes.
And while on mine too, real fast. When y'all blame people like a fiend, but like that's the reason why common laws. Listen, man. White folks been voting majority for Republicans since 1964. If you're not attacking the main demographic of who elected Donald Trump, white women, to me, you capping. If you believe a random leftist black woman was able to get all these white folks to vote for Donald Trump, you smoking dope and dog food. If you believe it was a mere criticism of genocide that allowed for all these white folks and drove to go vote for them, then you're not being real. You're not.
But let alone mathematically.
I need to include me in on that. I listen consciously, because people be leaving me out of this. I need to be including me in on that. Just meaning, like in the LGBT community, in all these different things. I am the trans Amanda Seals to folks. I am, because again, we got folks who say that all the things that Amanda Seals said, she was talking about Kamala, she was doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm telling you, the only reason why, I can't say that I would like co-sign everything sis does, but what I'm saying, the reason why my antennas perked up in the situation, because I literally felt and saw my experience and how they were treating her. I was literally being treated the same way. I got people in the comment sections. I seen the Craig, one of the co-hosts of Fag Talk with T.S. Madison, who was discrediting Amanda Seals. He's tagging me in the comment sections too, saying Angelica on that same page as Amanda, telling people not to vote for Kamala. Like, they're creating these narratives that we never said.
Hey, where you live at?
Go ahead.
What state are you in? What state are you in?
I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Georgia.
You're in Atlanta, Georgia. So did Atlanta, Georgia, did the congressional map of Atlanta, Georgia go to Kamala Harris? Did Atlanta vote for Kamala Harris?
I believe they did, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, what are we talking about, man?
Because people don't actually know politics, and they have a fanfare over these politicians as though these people are not public fucking servants that are supposed to be serving your best fucking interests. And I'm not going to compromise what it is that I feel my people need best and most just simply because somebody has a pressing curl or went to a HBCU or speaks very well or looks a certain way. I don't give a damn about none of that. I have a son to raise. I have nieces. I have family. I have people that require certain things that isn't about the things that our people were really talking about. And when it came down to it, I was just like, but what are we really getting at? If people are telling you that All we need is to hold the line. And this is what happened. I think this is the first time you and I met consciously. I got on the live and I was telling folks, I'm like, I live in a blue state. I know I'm going to be blue. It'll always be blue. So I can vote third party because that's a privilege that I have being in a blue state. People didn't realize that a lot of third party voters were saying, hey, if we vote third party in mass, we're not having an expectation to win, but if we get a certain amount of votes, we get the funding. So then the third party can now become a viable vote on the ballot. And niggas wasn't listening. We were like, there's a
And do you know who is suing? Do you know who is suing to keep third party people off the ballot?
Kamala's.
Democrats.
Yeah.
The ones who are talking about democracy and having these things, they're the ones suing to keep more voices off of there. I was going to run for office. I'm getting consultation from all these different people. And after having so many meetings, I'm like, I know y'all crazy. This don't make no sense because you trying to tell me that I have to move this way in order to get this and blah, blah. I can't go independent because that's not really an option because they make it really. The reason why they're saying it's not an option because it's actually not a viable option for you because they're going to make it not an option for you, strategically. So it is just mind blowing to me that we are in this situation and people because
they're doing to Zoran. Look what they're doing to Zoran Mamdani.
And Feta in
I think he's going to continue.
And the I can't remember the mayor.
The Somali brother,
I can't remember Saleh.
Yeah, I'm having an interview with him tomorrow for Ty. You feel me?
Oh, you do?
Democrat.
Wait, say that. Wait, hold on. Is it going to be live?
It's gonna be live. We're going live tomorrow night. Actually, I'm talking Wednesday night. I'm sorry, Wednesday night. We're going live Wednesday night. We're gonna be getting into all of the FBA talk about foundational Black Americans. We're gonna be getting into the Democratic Party trying to harm. We're gonna be getting into, you feel me, democratic socialism. To me, it's a lot of conversations we can have with our people about different options, and we can educate them. You feel me?
Well, I think the conversation's been remedial. The conversation's been very remedial because what Imani has pointed out about Kamala, the press and curl, the sorority, all of these different things is a situation where I'm telling you as a 44-year-old going on 45-year-old person now, it's kind of embarrassing to me. I give me a little, trans, excuse just in the sense of like, I didn't think I was supposed to be a pain. I thought y'all had this. But for me, I didn't understand beyond Barack Obama, being this Black president. And I'm like so proud to be able to vote for the first Black president. I voted for him twice, and I was at the White House and I met Joe Biden as vice president then. And I met Barack Obama, got my picture, did the whole thing. And then as I'm coming back into the room where he's going to now address everyone, the room is now packed. So I don't get to have sort of a front seat because I already had my front row in the back, shaking his hand and doing the things. So I get into the room and I'm just in the midst of the crowd of people and he's talking. And then you hear this voice and I can't tell if the voice is male or female. I don't know. I just hear a voice that's screaming through the crowd and they're screaming to stop the deportations, stop, deporting trans women into male prisons and, all these different, they were saying all these things, but I couldn't hear everything. All I then started to hear were a sea of white gays and the gays booing them. And then, Barack saying, this is my house and you're going to have to what have you. And so this whole heckle situation that had happened that went into the newspapers and everything, I was there. I was there in the midst of it, but I could not hear exactly what was going on. But what I was upset about was there was some sort of direct action that was happening with, I think, the Latin Trans Coalition or whatever. And I think that they did not tell me, Precious, Brady, David, there were a couple of us there. They didn't tell us because I think they thought that we were too enamored in the moment of this Black president to then want to stand in solidarity with them. And my thing is, people of my community has since learned I'm that girl. Tell me ahead of time, bitch, and I'm there. I will use my moment. I'll do the things. But I cannot hold you. I cannot blame you for the way that you thought because that's where we are. is that people right now have this thing and want to have the first black woman president or this, that, and the third, and they're overlooking the fact that is progress having a black woman push the button on the drones? Is that progress? Is the progress a black woman signing the check to Israel? So what is progress if it is only about identity politics? So I think now I'm having this conversation where my eyes are open with that's the only reason I was able to even have my eyes open with Kamala, because my eyes got open before with them. But I feel like a lot of folks aren't there yet with understanding how, and this is why I thought that Butchware called it out, and I know that Angela Rye was in her feelings when he was on there with that white woman. I know she was in her feelings when he called out how the Democratic Party was weaponizing blackness, and how they continue to do it. And we're falling for it as a black community. We're continuing to fall for it. And that's why we're in this situation right now, because we have not realized that none of us will be free, sweetie. None of us.
Can I just
Not
take a
a
second?
single one of us. Yes.
I want to thank all three of you, just as a Palestinian. And
Thank you.
I think seeing people like you guys and seeing just the voices online that are so like strong about this and have learned and understand, and it's like I swear to you, it means so much to like all Palestinians. And I'm not saying I talk to every single one, but the people we talk, and it means a lot. And that's what all they want. And they say that's all they want is for people to keep talking. So God bless you guys and thank you so much. And please keep doing that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody on this call for your voices. They're powerful. I will continue to follow you all at The Consciously. Is that where we find you at The Consciously?
Yep.
At She Is Imani B, correct?
Yep.
Is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Yep.
And Lana, what is your handle? I scooped you in.
It's at the Lana Salah, SALAH.
Say it
Yes.
again. Say it again.
Follow these.
It's just my name spelled with the Lana Salah, SALAH.
Yeah, LANAHSA.
LANASALAH. Yeah.
Yes, I already follow, but I'm also going to I'll share everybody's things as well,
You share
because,
it too.
and obviously, yeah, I'm going to send it because, again, follow these folks. These folks are the realists. Thank you so much. You all get some beautiful rest, because rest is part of your revolution, because you are doing the work. So thank you all for doing the work. Before we go, I am going to share a passage, a Buddhist passage, called The Reply to Yasaburo. I talk about this all the time, but I think, again, this really, from this conversation today, this really, really should hit. He says, this is Nichiren Daishonin, who was a 12th century priest, and he was staunchly against the government and their war profiteering. And he says, in all Japan, I alone understand why such things are happening. At first, I pondered whether or not I should speak out. Yet what was I to do? Could I turn my back on the teachings of the Buddha, who is father and mother to all living beings? Resolving to bear whatever might befall me, I began to speak out. And in these more than 20 years, I have been driven from my dwelling. My disciples have been killed, and I have been wounded, exiled twice, and finally was nearly beheaded. I spoke out solely because I had long known that the people of Japan would meet with great suffering and felt pity for them. Thoughtful persons should therefore realize that I have met these trials for their sake. If they were people who understood their obligations or who were capable of reason, then out of 2 blows that fall on me, they would receive 1 in my stead. But far from it. Rather, they arouse hatred toward me, which is something I cannot understand. And lay people, not having heard the truth, either drive me from my dwelling place or hate my disciples. It's beyond comprehension. For example, even if unwittingly we mistook our parents for enemies and reviled or struck and killed them, how could we avoid the guilt of that offense? These people, failing to recognize their own rudeness, seem to think that I am rude. They are like a jealous woman with furious eyes who, unaware that when she glares at a courtesan, her own expression is disagreeable, instead complains that the courtesan's gaze is frightening. Explain that these things have happened solely because the ruler has failed to inquire, and that the reason no inquiry has been made is that the people of this country are guilty of so many offenses that their evil karma has destined them unfailingly to be attacked by a foreign country in this lifetime, to fall into the hell of incessant suffering in the next. Baby, that's just a passage. That's just a passage in the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra in the writings of Nietzsche and Daishonin. But there's so much more to that conversation. You cannot expect that things are going to be happening in far corners of the world on this planet, and they're not going to affect you. That's not the way this works. The land is impure because we have been impure. Our minds have been impure. Focused on capitalism over community. Focused on ego over learning. Wanting to be right over being in community. So many different things. We have got to course correct. And I'm telling you right now, one of the things that Lana Salah said that was just so powerful is that we can't do this. We can't fight each other. That's what the system wants. They want us to be fighting each other so they can run away with the bag. So I want to encourage each of you this week to try to look at things intersectionally. So that when we say free Congo, know that we also mean free Detroit and free Sudan and free DC and free Palestine. From coast to coast, from the river to the sea. You understand? Power to all the people. You understand? Except for Netanyahu. And again, I think that, people are waiting for signs. They're waiting for some blinking sign to say that we are at war. We're in a civil war, or fascism is here. Let me let you in on something. It's here. We are at war. We are in a digital war. We're in an information war. We're in a war on community. We're in a war on mutual aid. There's a war on the people. There's a war on black bodies. There's a war on trans people. There's a war on disabled folks. There's a war on Arabs. A war on everybody but white domestic terrorists. That's who our shared enemy is. White nationalists, white supremacists, these white terrorists. Not each other. So, listen, I know sometimes we have a little flair with the way we talk with each other, but we got to remind each other that if we're not in community with one another, we need to be mindful about how we're talking with and about each other. Because you're not going to just use any kind of slurs with me as a trans person. Bitch, I don't know you. So unless you in community with me, watch how you talk to me. Come to me with respect, and I'll treat you with respect. But we've got to learn to treat each other better and do better and say I'm sorry. when you do something wrong. It's okay. Just say you're sorry. That's it for me today. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of No Opportunity Wasted. Again, thank you to my guest earlier today, Dr. Jeffrey Birnbaum, my producer Daniela Carter, our sponsors at BTFA for that interview. And thank you to Conscious Lee, Imani B, and Lana Salah for joining me and, having this conversation. It's been a difficult time. This has been a difficult presidency, but we will not get through this if we don't have each other's backs. All right? Nam yo, 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 nam yo,